Chapter 26. The Land and the Faith. Numbers 15, 1-21. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land of your habitations, which I give unto you, and will make an offering by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering, or a sacrifice in performing a vow, or in a free will offering, or in your solemn feasts, to make a sweet savour unto the Lord, of the herd or of the flock, then shall he that offereth his offering unto the Lord bring a meat offering of a 10th deal of flour, mingled with the 4th part of an hin of oil. And the 4th part of an hin of wine for a drink offering shalt thou prepare with the burnt offering or sacrifice for 1 lamb. Or for a ram thou shalt prepare for a meat offering 2 10th deals of flour, mingled with the 3rd part of an hin of oil. And for a drink offering thou shalt offer the 3rd part of an hin of wine for a sweet savour unto the Lord. And when thou preparest a bullock for a burnt offering, or for a sacrifice in performing a vow, or peace offerings unto the Lord, then shall he bring with a bullock a meat offering of 3 10th deals of flour, mingled with a half a hin of oil. And thou shalt bring for a drink offering half an hin of wine, for an offering made by fire, of a sweet savour unto the Lord. Thus shall it be done for 1 bullock, or for 1 ram, or for a lamb, or a kid. According to the number that ye shall prepare, so shall ye do to every one according to their number. All that are born of the country shall do these things after this manner, in offering an offering made by fire of a sweet savour unto the Lord. And if a stranger sojourn with you, or whosoever be among you in your generations, and will offer an offering made by fire of a sweet savour unto the Lord, as ye do, so he shall do. 1 ordinance shall be both for you of the congregation, and also for the stranger that sojourneth with you, an ordinance for ever in your generations. As ye are, so shall the stranger be before the Lord. 1 law and 1 manner shall be for you, and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you come into the land whither I bring you, then it shall be that, when ye eat of the bread of the land, ye shall offer up an heave offering unto the Lord. Ye shall offer up a cake of the first of your dough for an heave offering, as ye do the heave offering of the threshing floor, so shall ye heave it. Of the first of your dough ye shall give unto the Lord an heave offering in your generations. Numbers 15, 1-21. These laws give us an account of various offerings required of Israel. There are 3 sections to this chapter. The first section begins with verse 1, the second begins with verse 17, and the third begins with verse 37. These laws seem out of place in Numbers because Leviticus has more to say on the laws of sacrifice. All 3 sections are similar, especially the first 2, which both say emphatically, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land of your habitations, which I give unto you, then there are certain things you must do. Certain rites and offerings are then required. God had just told Israel that they would die in the wilderness, all who were over 20, and they would leave behind a host of unmarked, unattended graves. Now he gives orders concerning certain offerings to be required on their arrival at Canaan. The importance of this cannot be overestimated in terms of both Israel and us. God had cut off the hope of entry into the promised land by all the mature Hebrews. They had no future personally as far as Canaan was concerned. Their children and grandchildren would, however, receive Canaan from God. Because the parents were all going to die did not exempt them from being future-oriented. Their thinking could not be governed by their lifespan, but only by God's promises. We are today, as then, governed too often only by our lifespan. As a result, our politics is governed by the moment. Early in the 1970s, California State Senator Bill Richardson told me that, except in rare instances, neither voters nor legislators were influenced by anything beyond 90 days in the past or the future. When I spoke to the state senators, about 30 of them, on hard money, I found virtually all better informed in the economic catastrophe facing the United States than almost any group in the country. Their one concern was, when will this happen? And learning that it could be some years ahead, they relaxed. It was then of little concern to them. Here, God reminds a generation which will die outside of Canaan that it must think about life in Canaan and of God's requirements of their children there. If we are not future-oriented, we are suicidal. The text deals with offerings of lambs, rams, and bulls, with cereal offerings of flour, oil, and with drink offerings. These are free will offerings, verse 4, and they represent aspects of their daily life and sustenance. What we offer to God must represent what is basic to our lives. The idea that worship is unrelated to daily life and is something apart from it is alien to biblical faith and a perversion of it. A man who can work for a corporation or a newspaper for many years without anyone knowing him to be a believer is not truly a believer. Faith is expressed not merely by mere words, but by the substance of our lives. There is a gradation in the offering. There must be a proportion. Thus, a man offering a ram, the medium-sized offering, had to give proportionately more fine flour, oil and wine than one who gave a lamb, whereas he who gave a bullock had to give the most flour, oil and wine. In other words, while the gifts were free will offerings, they could not be given falsely, that is, bringing up a large animal but stinting at what was less prominently displayed. These are fellowship or peace offerings, food offerings rather than burnt offerings. At the moment, God's wrath is against an entire generation, but they are told that their children can anticipate peace with God. When we look again at the key texts, we see the phrase, "When ye come into the land." All of creation is the work of God. Every sphere of life is under law. Not only is man under God's law, but so too is all his creation. The relationship of law to land is spelled out in Deuteronomy 28. We live off of God's earth, and the first requirement of us is to obey his law and to use the earth's bounty to praise him. The environmentalists reverse the order to require praise of the earth by man, and their law is the value of natural life per se, totally apart from God and man. The people had in effect turned their hearts and minds away from the promised land. They are told that this cannot be done without judgment. In verses 17 to 21, with respect to the heave offering, the first of the newly threshed grain was to be used. Unlike the fine flour specified earlier, this is to be freshly ground meal, still somewhat coarse. In other words, it was to be truly the first fruit, given as soon as possible, as a reminder of God's priority. Ronald B. Allen compares this cake or bread made of the first grain to the once common, famed first dollar a man made in his newly established business. This was to be the first kneading of bread. It belonged to the priesthood when offered. Verses 13 to 16 are especially important because they state clearly, "One law and one manner, or regulation, shall be for you, and for the stranger that sojourneth with you. Verse 16. There could not be another or lesser law for foreigners living among them. They could not be members of the covenant apart from the covenant law. The terms of the faith are set by God, not by man. The only ground for differentiation among peoples has to be the Lord and His law, not race or nationality. 3 terms are used in verses 15 to 16 in the Authorized Version. 1. Ordinance. 2. Law. And 3. Manner or regulation. Walter Riggins rendered these as 1. Law. 2. Ordinance. And 3. Statutes. The first is the Hebrew Torah, God's revelation to His people. This tells God's people what God's covenant law and purpose are. The second, ordinance, means an authoritative ruling or justice. It has reference to vindication, to a final ruling. The third, statutes, has as its root meaning to engrave, and it indicates an absolute principle or rule. God's law is the law for all peoples because God is the creator of all. These verses tell us that the law determines who truly is a covenant believer so that foreigners could be covenant members when Hebrews were not. The ground is shifted emphatically from blood to faithfulness. Similarly, because there is one law for all, there is one grace for all. No subordinate status was given to non-Hebrews who became covenant believers. This at once takes us back to our starting point. These laws were given to Israel, even though they were condemned to die in the wilderness, to make them future-oriented for their children's sake. The future they would not see would all the same come. Although most of them were of Abraham's seed, perhaps the promises of God rested and always rests on His covenant law and grace rather than on blood. God has only one law and one grace for all men and nations, and we sin if we think otherwise. God's plan and promise do not rest on men or on nations. When Israel failed, it was set aside, even as some churches and peoples have been since then, and will be in the future. God must be our priority. Of the first of your dough ye shall give unto the Lord an heave offering in your generations. Verse 21. This means giving and serving God, not when we have enough time or money left over to do so, but with our first fruits. The large number of professing believers in the United States today represent, in the main, persons to whom God is not the priority, but rather an afterthought. Our faith is land-based and person-based. Man was created and placed in a garden to learn there how to work and to exercise dominion under God. To reduce the faith to only spiritual concerns is to try to turn biblical faith into some other religion. The mystery religions of the Roman Empire were popular because they offered escape from a notoriously corrupt world. Those who spiritualize the Bible, as many have done from Gregory of Nyssa to Schofield, simply create thereby an alien faith which invokes Christ while dishonoring Him. The promise of God is, when ye come into the land, His curse was captivity in their land to alien peoples, and finally the Babylonian captivity, separation from their land. The spiritualized religion of too many churches represents impotence and anti-Christianity.